Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're here and you're watching this video, all I can say is this video will change your life. I mean, I hope that it blows your mind, which I mean, quite literally it could if you understand at the end of this video. But this is basically the explanation of the entire universe of manifestation, not just manifestation, but how you're even here, what you are, what we are, and it's like the most simple explanation. So at least to me, after doing a ton of research and learning about all these concepts, it can be explained in more complicated terms, but this is the simplest way I can describe it to you, and I really hope that this video changes your life the way that it just changed mine. All right, so when you were born on this earth, you are essentially born backwards, you could say. So you are the universe. Just know that first off. You are quite literally the entire universe. You are everything that you see. Everything. Okay? All of it. And when you're born on this earth, though, you were born to believe that you are literally nothing. I know that sounds very sad, but this life is almost like a game of rediscovering who you are. Okay? So when you're born on this earth, you can think of yourself as you are a black hole. You quite literally are a black hole. And the black hole has this large end over here, and then it has the small end right here. The large end is the end where if you were to observe it, this is just my example of someone observing a black hole from the outside. If they saw someone right here, it would look like that person is like frozen in time, basically. It would look like nothing is happening, no one's moving, everything's just staying still, even though this person could be moving slightly. That's really what it looks like to you, an outside observer, okay? Essentially, it's looking like nothing is changing in your reality. So this is often what happens, first off, in life, when you are wondering why your life isn't changing and nothing's happening. It's because you're quite literally on one of these loops here, and you're not going anywhere. You're just going in a circle, and you're staying in the same spot over and over. So that's what happens when your life isn't really changing. But also, when you're first born, okay, you are like right here at the very end of this black hole. And what this means, if you are at the very end of the black hole when you're first born, it means that there's like nothing in front of you here. Like everything is just black. There's nothing in front of you. You have no memories, you have no future, because your memories create your future. Everything exists behind you, not in front of you. So when you're born, you're right here, the end of the black hole, okay? All this stuff is behind you. Your future is already, it's just behind you because creation is finished. Everything exists behind you. The only reason you don't remember things when you're younger is because you haven't started to formulate desires, you haven't started to make decisions yet in your life. There's nothing in front of you because this part here creates your future. Your past creates your future, okay? It's all the same thing. Everything is behind you because technically when you're born, everything is your past because you are literally the universe. Everything is your past, okay? So your past creates your future. Essentially, you're just creating your whole experience the entire time you're here. So the reason you have no memories when you're younger is because there's nothing in front of you here. Everything's behind you. And you're basically feeling like you're frozen in time because you're not going anywhere. Like you literally have nothing going on behind those eyes when you're first born. There's nothing going on in front of you, at least. Like you have no future, but you have everything behind you once again. But then as you start to move through your life, what starts to happen is you make decisions and you make choices, and then eventually, you know, you have your imagination where you start to think of things that you like and you start to want things or desire things. And these wants and desires, what happens is every time you make a decision in your life, every time you want something, you have it happen in your reality, basically what you're doing is you're starting to move like this way along this black hole, okay? Think of it like there's these lines that you're moving on. You're jumping every single time. Like you're just moving, you're moving, you're moving, okay? And what's happening when you're doing this, first off, you have to be in the present moment for this portal to open. For this portal to open, for this opening to exist right here, you have to be in the present moment. This is why I've drawn it backwards and this way, because when you are closed, when you are in your mind and you are thinking of the past or the future, What's happening is you are flipping around this portal and you're putting your past or future like in front of you. Like you're thinking of it like it's right here, and all you're doing is just closing the portal when you do that, because the past and future are behind you. So you're trying to put what's behind you in front of you, and it just doesn't work like that. So all you do when you think of the past or the future and you focus on it, and you're focused, getting stressed about the past or the future, you're closing the portal to progress you forward. Because that's what this portal is for, is to progress you forward. So you don't want to do that. So instead, this is the way that it should always look. It should always look like the opening is where your face is, which makes sense, like the face of the black hole, and you got the tail behind you in the background. And what this feels like also is that like literally your face is the black hole. As you experience things, they fall behind you, like that song with Rihanna. She says, turn your face towards the sun, let the shadows fall behind you. That's exactly what's happening. This black hole sucks up the things that you do not want in your experience anymore. The sort of garbage, the trash of your experience. Basically, if you make a decision, the old version of yourself gets sucked into here, okay? And this is exactly what happens during the Big Bang, is that this old version of you collapse it, basically in imagination, as I've talked about in other videos, the particle and the wave. When you observe something in the mind, you basically turn that wave into a particle for a second, and then you release it when you stop observing it, and it collapses. And you can think of it like closing the portal for this one, and now what happens is this one is sucked in to the new version of you, basically. It's sucked into a black hole behind you. And then there's this big crunch that happens because this version of you is getting sucked in. It's going to this point of singularity where everything exists. And then now what happens is every time that you observe a thought in your imagination, you create this wormhole for a quick second. And this is, again, what happens when the universe was created, is like there was this wormhole for one quick second. And then that bounces back the new version of you. Okay? Basically, the new version of you comes out of that. It comes out of this wormhole that was created. And this is the big bounce, which happens in the Big Bang as well. So it's like old version of you goes into this small point, and then they send out the new version of you that replaces that old version. And this happens constantly, and you don't know it because it happens in like a millisecond. It is so quick that you would not notice it. But your entire universe is replaced. Every time that you are making a decision, every time that you do something, it's replacing it with this newer version. But the thing is, you're just replacing it with a part of yourself. Like everything is you all the time. But the faster that you progress forward in life, like the more often that you do this, you stay present, because again, I said you have to be present for this portal to be open, for the black hole to be able to suck up the garbage. Because again, if you're closed off, if you're thinking in the past and the future, and you're not being present, then this is going to be closed, and all the garbage stuff is going to build up out here, the stuff you don't like. You're going to stay stuck on this continuum, okay? That's not good. You don't want to stay stuck. So as you stay present, you keep this portal up, you keep this portal open. You do this more and more often, and it gets closer to the point of singularity. So what happens is as you move throughout your life, again, we said you were born backwards, so you started here and there was nothing in front of you. But now as you move along, you start putting stuff in front of you. Now you have a future because you're putting things in front of you. You're putting things in front of you. You're putting things in front of you. That's what you're doing as you move along here. And then the more you move along here, the more of reality you expand. Because as you move this way towards the point of singularity, you expand consciousness. This circle right here when you were born is the same circle that's way down here, and it's tiny. It's just now what you're doing is you are creating this reality outwards. You're pushing it outwards now. So all the stuff that was down here, you're just pushing it out here basically so that you can see it. So when you were born, you couldn't see it because it was behind you. But now what you're doing is you're putting it in front of you. So eventually, if you were to get to the point of being right here at the point of singularity, you would see the entire existence of the universe in front of you. You would see everything, all of it. Like they say, everything, everywhere, all at once. That is what you would see because this would be your point of view. This is where you'd be looking. And this is why I have a higher level of consciousness. Like, I am operating at a very high level of consciousness because I must be somewhere along here, like towards the smaller part, because my reality, things happen very, very fast. Because what happens is when you move down here is that, again, you're moving through the same world. Think of it like Earth, but you're condensing Earth down more and more, basically. So what happens when you do this is that everything that seems so out of reach to you now becomes much closer to you. And this is how you manifest faster, because you're making the circle smaller. You're making the circle smaller and smaller and smaller so that you don't have to do so much to get somewhere. Now everything becomes easier and easier and easier, and you move through so-called time faster. You experience life faster because you can experience more and more in less so-called time. Okay? Like, you experience more in less time than other people because you are expanding more and more of consciousness. And when you do this, you move yourself down here to this part, and then eventually you would just flow through reality so quickly. It would be so easy for you to get anything that you wanted, because what's happening is you always get the things that you want. Like, the moment you observed something, you created that wormhole and it happened. But the only reason you don't see it yet is because you're existing somewhere further up here. Okay? And oftentimes what you do is you're closing this portal, so it can't come out, and you can't create new versions of yourself because you're so focused on the past or the future, which don't even exist. Like, they're behind you. So when you close this thing right here, when you close this end, you can't manifest that new future that you want because you're so focused on it, and you're putting it in the future. You're imagining it in the future or in the past or whatever. You're thinking about your past or you're thinking about your future. You're going to close the portal. So if you keep this portal open, if you just stay present and take actions, whatever actions you want, literally, it doesn't even matter. You could do anything as long as you're doing it in the present moment. And I told people a really great way to do this is just start doing simple tasks, like doing things. You could do things you haven't done before, like go for a walk outside. Say, I'm going to go for a walk, and then literally just go for a walk. Do what you say you're going to do, but it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be the simplest thing. It's, I'm going to go get my hair done or something, like, and then go get your hair done. It's that simple to move forward in life. Just make decisions. And it doesn't matter what decision you make. This is why people say, just make a decision, because another decision is making no decision at all. And the reason this is so important is that any decision will expand consciousness for you. Any decision, it doesn't matter which one you're making, it will expand consciousness. And by the way, I want to also say that this is infinite. The consciousness that you can expand, it's infinite. It could go on and on and on forever. So even though this point looks very small, it could keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Like, there's no end to it, really. There's no end to how much consciousness or the universe you could expand in your lifetime. But again, the faster you move through your life, like the faster you make decisions, the faster you will experience more of this. And the cool thing about this is that you can do the simplest tasks in the world and you will expand your consciousness. And then now all the things you do really want become easier and easier for you to attain. So literally, the small things about being in the present moment that we all ignore is the key to getting everything that we've ever wanted, is just doing little things. And then I also want to explain what happens when you keep closing this portal here, because essentially, again, this black hole needs to stay open to constantly take up all of the things that you don't want in your experience, because that is what it's here for. If you don't keep this portal open and you're so stuck in the past or the future constantly, and you're overthinking, you're stressed, whatever, what's going to happen is that eventually you are going to get pulled into the black hole yourself. Like, if you're not creating new things in front of you, what happens is, like, you start falling backwards. So, like, let's say, you're not creating any new experiences ever. Like, you're literally just staying, like, eventually, let's say you get to, like, around here or something, and then you just, like, stop creating new experiences for yourself. You get stuck in life. Then what happens is you essentially start trapping the weight of all of your experience in this one circle. So, like, right here, you start trapping all of these things that you're desiring in this circle. You're staying stuck, but you're desiring things. So you start to go like this, and this starts to get denser and denser and denser because you just keep collapsing realities within your reality. So it's like, think of a reality, a universe that is trying to contain a bunch of other universes that you keep collapsing inside of it. Eventually it becomes like this big mass. And what happens to things that are heavier in this black hole is that eventually you yourself could get sucked up into the black hole, because you want to stay light. You want to continue to move lighter and lighter. Like I said, you want to get towards the small end, but you want to do that on your own accord. If you do that by increasing the mass of yourself, you're going to get sucked in, which again is not necessarily a bad thing. You're not going to die or anything. It's just your physical body will no longer exist anymore. You will no longer exist on this earth because you're creating all of this pressure inside of yourself, which exists and comes out as disease. It comes out as, like people having mental health issues, all this sort of stuff, and they feel like they're spinning their wheels, not going anywhere. Their life is never changing, but I'm manifesting, I'm trying, but then they're so focused on the past or the future, and they just keep creating all these realities inside of themselves until it can't contain it anymore. It's like it implodes on itself. And then people pass away. But again, they don't really go anywhere. They're still existing. It's just they're now part of consciousness again. They're just becoming one with consciousness again. But this is why it's so important to keep moving forward. And even if you have done this before, where you kind of created this mass for yourself, just know that it is reversible too. If you start now by changing things, your higher self can clean things up for you. It can start to make things better. Like essentially you open this portal. It might take longer for you to go through all the cleaning of it. And you might also find in your life when you're going through this, it's kind of like the dark night of the soul, which is kind of funny because it's sort of like this big mass you created. What happens, you might spend a lot of time sort of feeling, it could be emotional, or you're feeling very tired or something like this. And it's because you're using a bunch of energy. Like it's taking a lot of you to just keep bringing all of this stuff in and dealing with it. And you don't have to do this yourself too. That's the thing. Like you can help it along by speaking things out that are frustrating you or things you don't like. Like you can speak it out in the present moment when you're grounded. But it's not really necessary as long as you are not attaching to your thoughts. Like you're being, like I said, just be present. Literally just feel what you're doing in the current moment. Be here now. Like don't stress over the past or future. And I know that's easier said than done, but just anytime you find yourself sort of attaching to the past or the future, just sort of pull yourself back. Just sort of remind yourself, okay, this is where I am right now. Like bring yourself back. That's all you have to do. And with your thoughts, like think of them like clouds just moving in and out, because that's all they are. They're getting sucked in this black hole. And the things you like will bounce back out. That's the thing. You don't have to worry about things getting lost, because nothing's ever lost. And anything you like will bounce back out as a new version of you. Anything you don't like will get sucked in and stay there. That's what happens when you surrender to your experience. That's why people talk about surrender all the time. But this is really how reality works. So essentially, you are the universe, and the Big Bang is just something that happens over and over and over. We just think that it started at a certain point. And it's really funny. There was a video that said it started 13.8 billion years ago, and that just makes me laugh because those are two numbers that come up a lot when I'm learning about this stuff. Number 8 is like the infinity symbol, meaning it never ends. And then also the number 13 was really significant to me, because 13 is like your past, present, and future. And then when you replace it, what happens is it's like you take one, you add one, but you get rid of one. So it's like you're getting rid of your current version of yourself, and then you're replacing it with a new one. So +1, yeah. These are just significant numbers to me, so I just thought that was really funny. But yeah, the universe has no start, really, or end, because the start and the end would be the same thing. So that's about it. It's infinite, and you're constantly creating, you're not even creating new versions of yourself. You're really just experiencing different parts of yourself. And as you move along this continuum too, it's like you start to let go. You stop holding on to things so much anymore, because you realize it's okay to let go of things. You realize it's okay not to hold on to things, because they're always going to come back to you, because your past is just things that you've fully let go of, that are no longer in your experience, that are there. And then your future, it's just things that you have already intended for. Like, they are on their way to you. That's the thing. You just feel like they're moving slower because, again, it's just dependent on where you are on here. But as you said, advance the reality by just making decisions, literally any decisions. That's like the part I just think is so funny, is that we worry so much about what decisions we make and how we're going to get to where we want to go. You literally just have to make any decision. And then all you're doing is speeding up the rate at which things manifest, because there is no cause and effect. So once you speed up enough, you'll be able to manifest anything very fast. That's why people who focus on, SP or manifesting this specific thing, like, there's no point, because you have to speed up consciousness to manifest anything in the exact same way. You literally need to just speed up the rate at which you're moving through so-called time, like the amount of things you're experiencing in a period of time. If you do that, you'll be able to manifest anything. It's not about one thing or the other. It doesn't matter. The thing doesn't matter. It's just a label that you're attaching to consciousness. So anyways, hopefully this explains it. I know I said that this was sort of simple, but I guess it's more complicated sounding when I speak it out loud. It always is that way. Everything makes sense in my head so well, and then I put it on paper. And I think that's the funny part, is with these videos, I said it to someone on the comment, like, it's just so hard to describe the universe. And when I say I don't know in videos, or I ramble or whatever, like you guys say, some of the comments, you just make me more confused. And that is because the universe itself is like a big paradox. Okay, like there's everything and nothing. Your past creates your future creates your past. We all just exist at this point of singularity. There's everything equals everything else. We're just one circle. Like, it's really just a circle. That's all it is. And the circle never ends. And also, when you try to describe the universe out loud, when you describe the things that you're hearing, like all these concepts in my head, when I try to describe them out here, it's almost doing them an injustice by describing them in words. You almost have to just experience it for yourself to be able to understand. I've said this in comments, I wish so badly that I could give someone my vision for a day so you could see the way that I experience reality, because I constantly have people question, they're like, can you manifest something for me on camera? Or I try to explain it, but there's no way to explain what I experience. There's no way. Like, I just can't put it into words in a way that sounds right to me, that describes the impact of it, I guess, because the way I see reality it's just so not real in the way that I used to think of it. It's not. All you can do is take my word for it. All you can do is trust me on that more than anything. And that is the whole basis of the universe, is faith. It's not about knowing sometimes, it's just about trusting. And that is like the best I can give you, because it's so hard for me to explain. My entire experience, it reflects me in everything. Every object is me, like everything is me, every person is me. Things are repeated back to me instantly. I can see how I'm moving through time sometimes. Like, I can see when time is faster or slower in a way. Conversations are almost like repeated stories in different ways. The conversations people have are never about the thing they think they're actually talking about. They're always describing their higher self in a way when they're speaking. Everything is just so different when you get to this point. And I always feel weird talking about it, because I don't want to sound like, I'm above someone or something, because I'm not. We're experiencing the same reality. It's just different stages of the same consciousness, of the same universe. But it really is hard to connect with people that are not in this state, and they try to undermine your ideas, or and again, this is just judgment on myself anyways. Like, this is just me reflected outwardly, so it doesn't even matter. At this point, I don't really care about a whole lot in the way that I used to. It's just different. It's very hard to just exist in normal reality now once you start to understand things. So all I can say is, I know everyone's in a rush to expand and like manifest everything and move so fast in their life, but all I can say is be okay with slowing down too, because I feel like I moved very fast, and at first it was great, but then now it's like, it's hard to watch a movie or listen to a song anymore, or do anything really, because I see through it in a way. And again, this is where words, it's hard to describe, but it's like everyone is speaking in these higher concepts, and it's not like just normal words anymore. It's not just a normal movie or a normal song. It's like I see myself in it, and everything that even seems unrelated is related. Yeah, if you ever wondered if the universe is connected, if you ever wondered if everything relates to everything else, then yes, and everything that you experience in your reality is a reflection of you. Like everything, every object, the way your toilet paper roll fell that day or whatever, like the randomest things are, sorry, I just laughed at that example. Everything, the way your pet acts towards you, you know, the way that someone crosses the road, the way that, and yeah, and then you get to this point where you see it and you just see everything and you just, yeah. And again, I don't see everything. I mean, I see some of it because again, there's no end to this. There's no end to expansion. But anyways, I don't know. I felt like adding this rambly part onto the end of this video because I like to ramble, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think of this concept. I'm pretty sure, I'm very confident in this at this point. This video might still be confusing. I'm sure I'll kind of get a better way of explaining it eventually because it's still early to me, like the way that I'm trying to put it into words right now. It makes sense in my head, but trying to explain it out loud again is difficult. So just let me know if you're confused about parts of it, and I'll try to make more videos on these topics. But yeah, this is like the gist of it. Like the key, if you want to know the key to everything, is just live in the present moment and make decisions. What it is that you imagined or observed, it's already on its way to you. It's not going anywhere. It's not forgotten about. It's just taking time to get there based on where you are on this continuum. And if you want to get to it faster, then start making decisions in your life, start doing more things. And that can also be in the mind. That could be learning things. It could be just, yeah, learning new concepts you never learned, reading a new book. It's anything you've never done before, like just go start doing it. Or just taking steps in your life, taking steps forward. That is how you get to your desires more quickly, is by just moving forward in your life in any way. And it doesn't matter. That's the cool thing. It doesn't matter what you do. And it doesn't even matter if you fail either, because you'll be corrected. As long as you're living in the present, that's the cool part, is that you'll be corrected no matter what. Like, you'll be made sure to be on the right path, always. So you cannot fail. You literally cannot fail. So trust in that. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to finally end this video. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.